Ethan Rupert.
What's up, Sietch?
So we're playing a festival in August.
We sure are.
Fun entertainment and interesting sounds for the masses so they don't get bored.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm super excited, man. You and Sunnyside Down. That's got Tyler in it and Morgan, too, right?
Morgan Evans.
Fucking Morgan, man. That guy.
Uh-huh.
I worked on him with Nate Rabb for the Warehouse Daydreams. I think he didn't do that. He was Keys.
He was Keys.
Yeah.
How did you meet Morgan?
I think through Nate Rabb
Yeah.
on that project, because I just came in and I had worked with Nate and a guy named Aaron Pranay, who's now back in India.
Okay.
Nate was in seminary. He was like going to be a preacher for a while, and then he like totally was like not my path in life.
Wow.
Right?
Okay, that's a 180.
But Aaron was also at that school for religious theology. And then once his student visa was up, he was back in India, you know? So it's like that guy, we're musicians, we're artists, we love the good guys.
Yeah.
He was the sweetest creative soul I think I've ever met. Aaron Pranay, the Indian guy. He'd be at the Melody Inn, and there'd be like some dude overdosing over here and like somebody on fire over here.
A typical night at the Melody Inn.
And then Aaron would just be like love.
Yeah.
Just love, right? So anyway, so we got a festival together. That's going to be cool. Tell me real quick, because it's not a music podcast, like I said.
Yeah.
But tell me everything real quick about Sunnyside Down and any of your other projects for the crowd here.
Oh, well, Sunnyside Down is, it's just straight up bad music, I guess. No, it's...
Like Michael Jackson bad or like terrible?
No, it's like terrible, I guess. Because
How
I'm just...
gloriously terrible are you crafting music these days?
Well, I'm really focused on just creating music that I enjoy,
Of course.
and that is suitable to my palates and what I'm interested in, and so that oftentimes doesn't fit.
What?
I don't know
You mean
what
you're
people like
outside the mainstream?
want to hear. Yeah, we're super underground, man.
Oh man, that's cool.
Well, most of the music is instrumental,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of a tough sell already, especially in Indianapolis, where original music is not super coveted.
Isn't it so weird that instrumental music used to be sort of like glorified? You know, the Zappas and the, McLaughlins and all these great guitar players and keyboard players in the 70s and 80s. And then it was just kind of like, no, we want to have a chorus that's
Yeah.
exactly the same every 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to tell my Ethan Rupert story. So you were back in the day in a project called Dino Launch
Yes,
Committee.
Dino Launch Committee.
And we were playing Odom Fest, and I was coming all the way from Florida or Georgia, touring with the Twitchy Fucks, good old Adler Burton and the crowd.
Yep.
And I'll never forget, this is my first sort of like experience with falling in love with this cat. You guys pulled up, you and Tyler and whoever else, and the doors opened, and you all just fell out of the car. Plaff.
That sounds about right. I must have been 19.
Right? And I looked over at whoever I was talking to, and I was like, they all look like a bunch of day-old McDonald's French fries.
Yeah.
Like, when you open your car door and your Starbucks cup or your fries fall
Yeah,
out.
it just all spills out.
And I thought that was glorious.
Yeah.
I was like, the musicians are here.
That was I think that was one of the first times that I met you.
Was it?
I remember that you still had that van back at
battle
the
van.
time, and you rolled out with a bottle of whiskey, and
Yeah, I still had the hair down to here and the battle armor. And
yeah,
yeah.
everybody was just kind of going for it.
It was a great time, man. Pre-COVID Indianapolis was a great music scene.
Yeah,
But,
it's never recovered. Not to the same extent.
I was on tour with the Moon Men when COVID happened. So, like, we were in the van hearing about the epidemic.
Yeah.
And we went from San Diego to Seattle, literally tracing, like, where COVID was hitting, like, Southern California, then L.A. proper, and then Northern. So, literally, the entire way the van was going, it was like, it's now in Portland. And we're like, we're fucking 2 hours out of Portland.
And so did you guys contract it?
No. But it was just so surreal because when we got to Seattle, we played and sorry, I'm trying not to talk too much, but we played the Central Saloon, which was kind of like the Melody Inn of Seattle, and it's where like Alice in Chains and Nirvana kind of got their chops.
Oh, wow.
And it was vacant. I mean, just vacant. The whole downtown, it was like a zombie movie.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, the Indianapolis music scene. Okay, so Sunnyside Down, check them out. Didn't you have some guys like trying to rip off your name?
Oh yeah,
Like ride your coattails or something?
There's this band down in Bloomington, And this past year, like they just started up. I think they're just a cover band, college kids, you know.
But like, did you ever figure out like had they gone to your shows and been like, hey, we could really kind of like milk this?
No, but like we advertise around Indianapolis like frequently enough that I'm sure they probably would have seen the name if they had done any digging into
Hey, that's a
into picking a name. Yeah,
That's a completely creative name that we don't have to be creative to create, and we'll just use.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like if we would have just come up with the name Disco and been like, all right, we're we're Disco from Indiana, and it's just kind of ridiculous. Like I brought it to their attention that
I
we
saw
already
your post,
existed.
Yeah. Did they
And,
ever respond?
Yeah, and they were not like receptive. Which I think is ridiculous because you're trying to like build your own name, and
Well, I wasn't.
that's such a conflict. If
Well, just musical courtesy, for fuck's sake.
yeah, no kidding.
Right?
Like you're gonna have a hard time booking under the same name as somebody else in the same state.
Well, yeah, and I mean, just sort of the story getting around is kind of gonna shit you off with your like. I mean, if I ever ran into those guys, I mean, like I kind of help people get gigs here and there, just out of courtesy and fun, and being like
Yeah.
a musician. And I'm gonna be like, no, fuck you guys.
It's just a poor move.
Yeah, bad decision. All right, so Ethan Rupert, I have tried so much to try to think about what to talk with you specifically about, because with each guest, I try to be kind of like, okay, we'll target in on this, or we'll target in on that, and all that.
Yeah.
And I have like thinking paralysis. Like I overthink so much that I just become like, all right, you know?
Sure.
So here's what I was thinking. First off, have you ever met somebody who like when they smile, you're just like instantly like, oh, this is like one of the greatest guys in the world?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's you, dude. Like that's literally you.
Cheers.
you have like the greatest vibe, the greatest like sort of like legit human, just like there's no barrier. I didn't know you from fuck all when I first met you, and there was just zero barrier. So I was like, okay, here's what I want to talk to about Mr. Ethan Rupert. You come from a segment of the musical community here. There you go.
Cheers.
I saw you being all gentle because it's glass. You come from a segment of the musical family that's always kind of frustrated me. And I've also just been in love with. I love my misfits.
Yeah.
You know me, dude. I'm an anarchist, pirate, twitchy,
Yeah.
fucking, like, I'll punch a fuck type of guy. But when, how am I supposed to phrase this? But I'm not like a hippie.
Yeah.
And I'm not like a free lovey, and I don't do drugs.
Sure.
Right. Not that everybody in your family does.
No.
So I've always had this real strange love frustration relationship with the free jammy festival-y crowd, because typically when I go in, I just see a whole bunch of people kind of wasting time and doing nothing and kind of that. So this is me steering the conversation to this subject. Okay. And I put a lot of thought into this. Now I'm blanking. I had video notes, but I'm using the camera. Okay. All right. That is almost like the ideal human society. You know, follow fish, love each other, support each other, but don't get into the grind and the bullshit of capitalistic whatever. And so I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
But then having been different going into that community, going all the way back to like Mousetrap Fam Jam nights and, you know, all my friends and all that stuff, there's also a really dark underbelly
Absolutely.
to that underground. You know, because if you're going to be underground and if you're going to say, no, I'm going to dedicate my life to just loving this section of music and I'm not going to have a set job and I'm not going to go to college and follow that career path through America, this is all leading me to the questions I want to ask you, which is this. Like, if you live in that underbelly and you choose to, you're also mixing with like the true underbelly, right? You know, so the bikers and the cartels and the drug dealers and the underground economies and all of these nefarious kind of hangers-ons. And in that community particular, I have discovered more people that I'm actually kind of like really scared by or that I don't like. So in your community, how much of it is people who just go into that free worship the musical sphere as like authentically good people, and how much of it is really just people with nowhere else to go that have kind of glommed onto it, almost like this caravan going through the plains. And does that make any sense to you? Because,
It
like I said, I
does.
love the true, authentic hippie dippies. I
Yeah.
love them. Big hug from Sietch every time I see him.
Yeah. No, I think that's a fantastic question.
Because all you see is
And
Dave Matthews and Fit, and everybody's so free until you're a
yeah,
musician and you hang out with them.
well,
Oy.
that's a complicated answer
Go for
too,
it.
because there's so much like surface level stuff that comes with like the hippie movement and all of that. It's
And do you mind using that term? Because I tried to come up with another term, but really it's hip. It's free thinkers. It's
Yeah, I think it still applies, but we also have to kind of acknowledge that the hippie movement thing is something that's capitalized on now.
yeah.
Like you've got Walmart selling like Grateful Dead T-shirts
I mean,
and stuff. Like it's that's what Jerry would have wanted,
oh,
right?
of course, and Bob.
Yeah. So you do have that. Like there's some people that will really like attach themselves to that, and that's what they like put out, that kind of energy, but then that's not what they really are.
So okay, so let's dig a little deeper. It's like, so in my lifetime, right? Because I was kind of Gen X, and I saw like the tired hippie of the '70s becoming my friends' parents, and we'll get back to that. How many normies do you think are so anti you because they really are kind of you, but they had a kid, or they were like, got to get that job, or all of that, and they decided that they had to punt that lifestyle out of like almost threat, like, okay, I got
Yeah.
to provide for my kids, I got to get that job, my daddy stopped sending me money.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense? Because there's a lot of you're going to help me stop a war, because
Sure.
I think there's a big war between that family of yours and other people. And I think the other people actually really kind of hate you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Because I see it. I'm not saying I do or that it's right. I'm
Yeah.
just saying I see a lot of animosity directed towards the people who live free.
I can definitely see that. And there are two sides to that as well. Like we, as much as I love the idea of like not supporting the capitalist machine, like there's still, we still need people to do that. We still need people to like produce all of the shit that we need in our lives.
Used to be called farmers, or
Yeah, like I personally would love to see us move more in the direction of being able to be like self-sustainable. So like
3D
teach
3D
people
printing.
to farm on their own. Anything that you can produce with like 3D printed goods is obviously valuable as well.
But do you feel that? Because a lot of times, like, I'll go to the Mousetrap, or so I kind of stopped going because me and alcohol and the Mousetrap never mixed, and I've been sober for a long time. But like,
Yeah.
the Mousetrap used to be one of my places where it was just like chaos. Do you feel animosity from you? So like, let's just create like the fictional kind of like free jammy girl that's always running around the festivals and all that, and she's all about love, and she's all creative, and she has her beads, and she has this stuff. Do you think that like she really does understand? Because of course, everybody says stuff like, oh well, of course they hate us, we're not normal and they're slaves, or whatever the sort of stuff is. But like, do you feel that animosity from society? Because it used to be kind of like, oh, we'll just put up with the dopey kids.
Yeah, I don't feel that I get a lot of animosity for like being associated with that group.
Yeah.
I think that most people that I like encounter are pretty understanding.
That,
But that also speaks to the kind of like people that I try to keep around.
right, isolation or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was curious because I operate in very different orbits, and I have friends in every metal scenes and whatever, and like I've noticed a trend of that, and it's almost like this resentment of the normies that are kind of like,
Yeah.
well, of course I would want to live this way, but I got a mortgage or whatever.
Yeah, and part of that is just trying to be like realistic. Some people see like the happy dippy people, and And I think it almost comes across as ingenuine because people generally have a more realistic worldview of
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. There's a lot of just complete stereotyping for the community. Whereas when I've
yes.
divin into festival scenes, I've sat down and talked to brilliant motherfuckers,
Yeah,
and they're not wanting to be not responsible. They're not, they still want to engage. But this is almost like their church. The music alone is almost kind of ancient magic.
it
No
is.
form and.
And it just like inspires people to try to live like the way that most like fits their like who they are.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go on a journey now, and this is going to help
Excellent.
us stop the war. I'm old enough where my great aunt was a beatnik. Okay, and so a beatnik was kind of the predecessor to a hippie,
Okay.
but they still had master's degrees, and so this is the Jack Kerouac, on the road sort of people, and it wasn't so much just about absolutely being unconstrained from other people in society. It was more about we're going to take this from a completely bohemian beatnik perspective, and they experimented with LSD and all that. And this is kind of the genesis of what I would call like the boomer hippie movement. And I'm always surprised that like the beatniks are kind of like forgotten, because they were incredible intellects. They wanted to be intellectual because they saw that as their way of changing the world. And then, and this is the journey. I'm going to set it up, and then I'm going to
Yes.
actually give it to you for at least like 5 or 10 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
But I want the journey because we all get so goddamn like just comfortable in our generalizations. Okay, and so then in the '60s you had the big boom. You had the big hippie movement, and this was like rejection of the patriarchal 1950s guys who fought in the war, and this was a bunch of some spoiled white kids who just wanted to go and like have sex with everybody, do a lot
Yeah.
of drugs, but it was also a lot of movements. There was a lot of real revolutionary stuff going on in the background. You had Abby Hoffman, you had Jerry Garcia, you had the art scene and all of this. Gloriously chaotic. But then again, it went to violence. There was the murder at Altamont with the Stones. There was all sorts of horrible drug stuff going on behind the scenes where you see the happy shiny hippie on Haight-Ashbury, but the guy giving him the heroin's a fucking murderer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do it as quick as possible. This is what affected me the most. I saw in the early 70s when I was born in 75, okay? And so I saw the people who had sort of like saw the death of the Summer of Love, and then they had to go sell cars. And they still had that, well, I used to just, sleep with 10 girls a day at Woodstock, and I used to be this free thing. But like I said, dad's check stopped coming because, you know what I mean? And they had this real anger towards the fact that they had been dumped into normal society. And then, of course, you had like the MK Ultra experiments and the government trying to make the hippies look like monsters and all this.
Yeah.
What a mess already. What a mess already leading up to me asking you about your free-spirited way, right?
Yeah.
But we all just wrap this up into a history burrito. Yeah, we know all of this happened, but like I'm going on long-term trajectory solutions. In my generation, and then I'm going to give it up, I saw Brad and Chad, the football squad, go follow the dead. And they were dropping shrooms and acid, and they loved Yes and
Yeah.
Queen and all of this, but they were still Brad and Chad, and they were going to go off to IU and get a degree,
Yeah.
right? But they loved mingling with guys like you, with the long hair and all of this. When did that stop? Because, final point, I've noticed now that the resentment at being kind of forced into that underground life, because your guys' life is really hard. I think everybody thinks that it's this or that, but I've seen festival guys and all that, and like the situations they get into and stuff. It's not easy to be off the grid.
No.
It takes a lot of pride, and that violence now I'm seeing in protest. You have all of those 60s people who were like against Vietnam and we're going to occupy the school buildings but it was nonviolent kind of mainly, right?
Yeah.
Now I just see it's almost like an anger of it's not even about Minnesota or ICE or Greenland or any issue. It's about like, no, God damn it. We're going to have some power now. And it's coming across just really angry.
I think
Thoughts?
that it is really angry.
Yeah.
Because we've been it feels like we're going through these cycles of repeating the same kind of battles over and over, and we're still not arriving at like solutions.
So what would your solutions be? Not to have you speak for your entire community, but like how does that stop? How do we come back to that Brad and Chad outside the Deer Creek Dead show?
I mean, we have to be able to find some common ground. It's just gotten to a point where, and I hate to say that there are two sides of this, because that's part of the problem, is everything is pushed so far in either direction.
Yeah, polarization.
Yeah, that it's just harder and harder to find common ground.
Well, let me try this then. Does your community kind of understand why other people from a different lifestyle think that you don't feel a responsibility to actually engaging in society? Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
You know, these guys go to work every day and they generate their tax revenue, and goddamn all these people just taking the free programs and, you know, not doing anything but dropping acid and shit like that. Like, do you feel that your community has maybe like lost a little bit of accountability for actually sort of really saying like, no, we agree, we live differently, but here's how we can get together?
Yeah, I think that most people like in our society are hard workers.
Yeah.
I don't really encounter hippies that are just like living off grid.
Some of the hardest working people I know.
Yeah, like most of these people have like real jobs that they go to every day.
Real shitty jobs.
Real
mostly,
shitty
like
jobs.
Warehouse and airport fucking garbage.
But it's like you almost have to, I mean, you really do have to do that all the time just to stay afloat nowadays.
Which again goes to the resentment that I'm talking about. And like, so I'm trying to, like you and me, the masterminds here, I'm trying to figure out how we can have the happy Rupert smiley guys who are great people and hardworking and care. Because I believe you care.
Yeah.
And the real bitter ass, you know, people that are like, all I got to do is clock in 8 hours and make my 200 fucking K for selling death through a pharmaceutical machine or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, is there a common ground there?
That's a great question.
I know. Because, I mean,
I hope so.
There's no sense doing it if it ain't there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, it's something that's like constantly reinventing itself, because our environment is constantly changing, and so we have to adapt with it just to try to keep alive and keep our morals alive.
Morals. Okay, so that's awesome. So let's stick a finger onto that one. The key concept of this podcast is, how are human beings going to interrelate with one another in a after AI future? Meaning we can push a button and everybody has luxury items and food, and nobody has to kill their soul-crushing job every day, and they can actually just live and be all that. That moral side is missing from that equation, and like I really think it's up to people like you and me and the music community to kind of put a leash around this huge rush into the unknown AI future. Because I was talking to Sam O'Grady yesterday, and I said, you know, we're at a point where we can push a button and a tractor the size of Chicago can just harvest enough food for everybody on Earth.
Yeah.
Why is that not happening? And why is there not even a plan for that happening? And why is the morality so lost there? That's where I think you guys could really make a difference.
Well, we just have to point out the hypocrisy.
Well, but everybody knows everything's hypocritical.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, some people will still defend it with everything they've got.
Yeah, so how do we make them the bad people? Because now in America, as you know, hey, you work and you put your pickup truck in the driveway and you don't commit a crime, you're a saint.
I guess so.
Whereas, you know, I'm convinced that 80% of the people outside of your world are evil. Like, I mean, just being a part of the system and just being a part of the continuation, like you said, just this recycling. How do we get your ideals and your sort of lifestyle and your morality normalized? Because, like, I'm tired of you guys always being the quirky little dog in the corner. Yeah. Like, I mean, like, people that pay taxes in Carmel literally look at us weird musician types, as those quirky little fucking dogs who are incapable of, you know, and they always, like, fall back on, oh, well, they're just incapable of doing the hard work to...
And maybe some of us are, but I don't think that that's a problem. At the end of the day, like, shouldn't it matter more if you're like kind as
I'm
opposed to
almost,
some hardworking stuff.
I'm almost happier at the incapable ones because like they're closer to God, in my
Yeah.
opinion. The people that are capable of sucking their life away to sell golf balls.
If that's what they want to do it.
Oh, but see, that's our curse.
Yeah.
We're like, no, you go do you. Okay,
I
but
just
you're
don't want to do that.
but you're crushing us all.
Yeah.
Like, because my mortgage is this, because yours is that.
Yeah.
And because you can get an $880,000 house in Boca Raton, my fucking little shitty trailer is 88 grand when it should be 10.
It's ridiculous.
So yeah, so how do we normalize morals and get these fucking bloodsuckers? Because
I think it starts with getting rid of billionaires and trillionaires like we're getting ready to see in the next few years.
But isn't every American a trillionaire? Because I mean, our country produces hundreds of trillions of dollars of wealth every year.
I'm sure not a trillionaire.
Yeah, but I mean, you live in a system where the trillions of dollars are reflected. I mean, when you go outside, you're not in a food scarcity area. You can pretty much produce
right.
Yeah.
And that's saying like it could always be worse. I'm thankful that I'm able to go out and
And
buy
again, that's
food
another
every
hook on how
day.
they get you, right? You should
Yeah.
be grateful for what you got, boy.
Yeah.
You hippie.
And then you've got people that are amassing like half the world's wealth between 10 people.
Yeah. So when I was thinking about Ethan Rupert, and I'm dancing around all these things, but this was one of the big ones, right? Like, I personally, Sietch, has no problem with that community. I actually love it.
Yeah.
I wish it were the majority. And I also really don't have problem with, like you said, the people that can do it, more power to you and all that. I think it's probably an empty-ish lifestyle or whatever and materialistic, but I'm not going to judge you. I'm not a judge of anybody. I've had enough judges hit their gavel on me to,
Yeah.
okay. And so here's one thought about crossing that moral divide, and I want you to prove me wrong. Like, I want you
Okay.
to call me naive, okay? When I listen to my leftish-leaning friends, what I would call progressive, artistic types and all this, what I hear from them is, well, you can't tell me I can't smoke weed, and you can't tell me what to do with my body, and you can't tell me that I can't, live this way without, blah, 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 blah. And when I listen to my writer-leaning friends, I hear, well, you can't tell me I can't own a gun, and you can't tell me that I got to pay for some drug addict, and you can't say I can't say a prayer on the school bus, and all of this stuff. Every single person's problem is government telling them they can't do something.
Yeah.
And the fact that the issues are different actually bring both sides together. In the middle are the people saying, well, okay, well, I'm going to fight and say that you can have an abortion. Well, no, you can't. That's murder. Well, why the fuck do you care? It's not your bait. Like, and so that constant just grinding of each side. But, smudgy.
Yeah.
But do you agree with me that the main thing that people have a problem with is people telling them what they can or cannot do? And if that's the case, the only people telling them what they can do is government.
I think that's fair, like especially in the United States, everybody gets so upset if they're told what to do.
Yeah.
And I think that like from a standpoint of freedom, searching for freedom in the United States, which is what our country's supposed to be all about. Like you have to be able to like pursue a life without restrictions as long as that lifestyle isn't like directly hurting others.
Destructive.
Yeah.
Which is so basic and so agreeable.
Yeah.
That I'm almost ashamed of the human race for not just kind of like putting that to bed. It's like, yeah, like you should be able to do what you want to do, including heroin or whatever. Sure. I mean, as long as you're not like molesting somebody or as long as
it's your life.
Yeah. But like, why is there so much teamsmanship? Like, why is Brad over here so determined that you will not legalize pot? He's never going to smoke pot, even if it was in every gas station on earth.
Some people just like are so obsessed with having like one right way to do this. Like there's one lifestyle that everybody ought to follow, and if they don't,
the hand of the government.
Yeah, they're listening. When that's just not true. There's so many different ways that you can live your life.
I'm listening. I know it's distracting. There we go.
There are infinite ways you could live your life.
Okay, so
without like being an asshole.
an asshole, Jesus. I mean, is it really as simple as like your typical religious person that is so sanctified in their belief that they feel they have to convert? Like,
Yeah.
it just seems to me like every single political issue now is equitable to religious dogma, and uh, that has to stop. Like, it has to stop big time, right?
Yeah, everybody's acting on emotions instead of logic.
Yeah, and it's like we've all been starved and poked in the ribs by the people that are profiting from it, that like we don't even realize we should turn around and bite the motherfucker behind us, right?
I mean, because they pit us against each other. I mean, when they control like all news and media outlets and
Yeah.
they're pushing their own agendas all the time, they're trying to dictate how we think.
So that's why music is so great, and that's why musicians are the shamans of the world, right? Because I just got done telling you, when I was a kid, you know, you'd have the lacrosse team hanging out with the hippies at Deer Creek watching fish, or whatever, and everybody was happy,
Yeah.
and nobody was kind of saying like, "Oh, you dirty fuck," you know. And so like that divide that's been like a backhoe just trenched in America. Like, when did we all sort of give up our obligation to point that out? And when did we stop kind of like hollering, like, you know, wait, you need to stop? Like, because I got no problem with dude next door.
Yeah, well, we don't have like the same kind of like communities and conversation that used to be around. I think there are a lot of things that contribute to that. For one, like it used to be like a 9 to 5 work week was really common, and so you had everybody like working the same hours, getting off at the same time, going to the same pubs
And pretty much
to
only
talk.
only one of the spouses and another one would stay home. Like, you could actually
Yeah.
have enough income for like a one job family.
Yeah, you could. And so then there's more time to explore other avenues and to like have these discussions. And now it's all so very different. Like you'll have 10 different people working 10 different schedules and they never interact with each other outside of like the 1 hour that might
I mean,
overlap.
people don't even know their neighbor anymore.
No,
Yeah.
we don't have that like real tight sense of community.
So let's get to brass tacks then. I mean, do you believe that that's intentional? Because at the end of the day, this podcast is about solutions, and we have to diagnose a problem to excise the cancer, right? So, like, I need to know from people whether or not you think, and I'm not talking the Illuminati,
Yeah.
but I mean, do you believe that like society in America has intentionally been engineered to come to pit us against each other and create unsolvable problems?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of at the core of capitalism. Like that's what it's about. It's about pitting us against each other, so that we're so caught up trying to like,
Fight over the same leg bone.
yeah, that like we're not really addressing the real problems.
Yeah, because we're just so tired.
We're
at the end
being
of the
taken
workday.
advantage of.
Okay. So how do we absolutely put a stop to that fuckery? Like, because like that's fucking stupid
Yeah.
that we're allowing ourselves to do that. Or are we just afraid that they're gonna just lay the hammer down like the old barons of old? Oh, you're not gonna go out into the fields, you motherfucker, you know?
I think there is a lot of fear around it that keeps people from acting. And it's kind of growing to this point now where people are getting pushed so far that they are starting to like break down and
Yeah.
choose more violent routes.
Well, and that exactly that yes, and that leads to that theory I have of this explosive bohemia, where a lot of people that I would see at the Melody Inn or some hippie bar in Pacifica, California, or whatever, coming to a show, they're not really there for the show. They're there to have that explosive release of like, okay, finally. And you know, as you and I know, a lot of times that's horribly bad. You know, the end of the show, and the girl who's been working 3 months because she's a single mom now and all that, she finally gets her chance to be free with the free jammy boys and
Yeah.
all of that, and then she winds up, you know, doing horrible shit and being the screaming hysterical person and punching somebody. And you know, it's like you can't have your moment of authenticity or your moment of genuine expression be something that's like a hand grenade.
Yeah.
You know, it has to be consistently nurtured, or else you're just that asshole at the bar that you and I are always afraid we're going to bump into.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think that's to take it back a couple years, that's kind of why Martin Luther King Jr. like was so insistent on nonviolence in like that movement, because then the second that you are violent, then the opposition says, "I told you so. You're all just a bunch of
Dirty, stinking.
violent, dirty, stinking hippies."
Yeah. Yeah, well, that sucks, man. I hate that because, the hippie community, like I said, I'm not a hippie, and quite frankly, y'all frustrate the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
But it's one of those where you frustrate me because I love you to death. Like, it's like being in a room with 16 cats, right? And I love that experience, right? Because this cat's puking up a fucking hairball or whatever, and this cat's like climbing the rafter.
It's fun and it's chaotic and it's
beautiful,
like, crazy,
beautiful.
It's insane,
beautiful.
Yeah.
Crazy, insane. No,
yeah.
That's like bad, but it's just beautiful. And okay, let's get back from the serious stuff for a little while. Let's talk about because I try not to talk about like specific events on this podcast because I think those are sort of symptoms of a disease. But I saw you posted something about Orwell on your. You said Orwell used to be a warning, now it's an instruction manual or something like that.
Yeah.
Orwell is one of the biggest CIA disinformation tools of all time because like the left can use it to show Republican oppression and the right can say, oh, look at communists and all of that. And it's in my examples, one of the greatest example of like information fuckery.
Yes.
Right? Because Orwell was just saying, no, like either spectrum that's like control and Big Brother is evil and all of that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I want to talk to you about police.
Sure.
Okay. Because I'll punch a cop.
Yeah.
Like I was kind of known as that guy.
That's why I love you.
Right. But I also like don't want the cartels. And so I was thinking, in my experience, and as a young man, I was in Juarez in the Yucatan Peninsula, and I've had all sorts of dicey experiences, like all of us creative fucks, going back to the 60s.
Sure.
Right? It's our life. We love it.
The trouble finds us.
Yeah. Tell that to them with a straight face.
Yeah. It's always them that are the trouble that's finding us.
Yeah, we're
not the other way around.
I didn't get into that Volkswagen van that had no seats in back and drive. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so here's a very concrete thing that I do want a perspective on. I hate militarized police. I will fight militarized police. If somebody ever tells me that the idea of having a police force in a country that is militarized is acceptable, I'll punch them.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. Our culture has fallen into a morassy, swampy place where there are literal zombie, meth-addled people that will come at a police officer with a knife or a machine gun. We have become so dependent upon chemicals that we have organizations that are like standing armies that are trafficking deadly products into our country. And if you try to roust them out of your neighborhood, they bring bazookas.
Yeah.
Okay. When I was young, I saw Waco live, the Koresh thing. David Koresh was a fuck shit. His people were crazy. But it was a wild experience because you're watching the ATF, the new federal agency on the block, needing to prove themselves to the FBI. So we're going to bring the tanks and the machine guns and all of this stuff. And they got their asses handed to them. And then a bunch of kids died because they burned down, right? I need somebody to help me because I can't say that I fault the police nowadays, because if I'm going into a drug cartel situation, I'm going to have a fucking machine gun. And I hate that, dude, because I'm such a Minuteman type. Like, there should be a man of great moral character walking through the neighborhood and getting to know all of the people and stopping the problems before they happen. And, hey, let's all just get along. And, hey, Bob, you're drunk. Sleep it off.
Yeah.
But that ain't real anymore.
No.
So how do we get rid of that awful, evil element that America has allowed to grow in our country without militarized police? I mean, you're going to tell some guy he's supposed to go into a crack house with a fucking 38?
No.
Right?
I mean, I don't know that there's a perfect solution for it, honestly.
Yeah. Well, there has to be. Otherwise, we're just going to be a drug-addled, cartel-run country, right? Like, do you see
Yeah.
my pain on this?
I mean, it's something that like has to be cracked down on for sure.
Mm.
But at the same time, that's not an excuse to use extreme force in
Yeah.
scenarios that don't warrant it.
Right. And that again is that tricky, slippery slope where it's never going to stop, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, we have a woman shot in Minnesota for blocking traffic, and this guy was probably used to dealing with fucking MS-13 guys, and it's really hard to ask somebody to put their life in danger every day against people. I mean, like I said, I've spent time in South America, man. Like, I know biker fucks, I know gangbanger, like I know every type of bad guy you could ever want to meet, dude. And like, I'm certainly sympathetic to somebody who has to do that on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
But it attracts the wrong type of guy a lot of times, right? And so here we are in this unfixable morass again, where we actually need that bad guy to protect us from the badder guy.
Yeah.
And none of us want to admit that.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Yeah. However, it doesn't excuse what we saw. I mean, and I think that what we're seeing in like the federal government is we're seeing recruitment of agents without proper like training. Like they don't have formal like police training and haven't gone through all of the time that it takes to really learn how to handle situations like this and de-escalate situations
and somebody from the right side of the aisle would say something like, well, that's because we were not allowed the funding because people said that it was going to be a fascistic sort of move, and so we had to catch up now in a time where it was more. Does that make sense?
There's no loss for funding now,
right? More fuckery and more fuckery, and
you just throw money at it.
Yeah, so that's the kind of like ping-ponging that I'm trying to avoid, because again, there's always somebody that could say, yeah, but this, but that.
Yeah.
Right?
You're always going to have that.
So how do we get rid of the evil fuckers? Because the question wasn't answered. How do we get rid of the cartel fucking guys who literally will cut somebody's head off and mail it to their fucking son because they can get fucking $500,000 of reefer across the border? Like we need a solution to that, Rupert.
Yeah.
What is it? Because one of the most common would be, well, we have to provide economic stability to our partners to the south, and the Mexican government has to become uncorruptible and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I don't know. It's something we still have to crack down on. Like, I don't think that we should just have open borders. Well, we still have like.
No. Who's we?
Who is we in this day and age?
Is it America? Are you just saying globally as a community?
No, I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's one of the problems. And then I'm going to, again, lighten up. But again, it's so frustrating. I think one of the reasons why, again, there's that animosity from more right-leaning people to more left-leaning people is it's kind of like, well, who's going to do it? And so when people actually from the right who are a little bit more Johnny Patriot, actually say, okay, we're going to blow up some Venezuelan drug boats, everybody says war crime. Well, I mean, what's more of a war crime? Devastating entire small cities in America from methamphetamine and killing 80,000 overdoses, right? And this is the whole thread of fuckery.
Yeah.
I mean, would you agree that anybody that sells poison to a person should be killed? I love that I just asked my hippie friend this question.
I'm going to say no, that I don't think that it entirely falls on the person who's selling, because there's still people buying too. And that's still like, I don't know, that still is a problem, because then the person selling poison is still perpetuating the issue. And
I actually love this moment. This is my first moment of my conversation with you where I actually just really fell in love with the conversation.
Yeah.
Because that's a notion of personal responsibility.
Yeah.
And that's a huge one for me. I'm an individualist. Like that's the first word in my Bible by Sietch. It's like we're all responsible for our own actions, right?
Because like I do think you should have the right to take heroin if that's what you want, or you should be able to put whatever into your body. As long as like you're not hurting anybody else, you can You can hurt yourself if that's really what you want to do.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I ain't the boss or the mama of you. You know, I mean,
No.
if that's what you want to do. Just because I do have a few more conversations with people that are a little more rigidly right than most musicians, you know, like you said, you kind of tend to huddle together. It's not even so much that they have a problem with people doing heroin. What I hear a lot is, why do I gotta fucking pay for rehab? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think that they even like us are kind of like, hey, do what you want. I mean, it's your life.
Hmm.
But it's that weird expectation that, okay, now that I've made these personal choices and now that I've woken up in the Nevada desert and kind of need to crawl back and get some help and all of this, do you think that it is society's responsibility to help that person? Or is the same amount of personal responsibility kind of theirs to get out of it? I mean, they got into it, they got out of it.
I think that it's a fine thing to have like government programs that help people get out of situations like that. Um, because everybody's backgrounds are so vastly wildly different that you can't just have like a blanket solution that fixes it all.
Well, the problem with it is the guy that I was just talking about says fuck no.
Yeah.
And he hates that he has to do it. So let's find a solution. Do you think that it could be an optional thing where a person in this country could say, I really want to help drug addicts. Please take another portion of my income tax to go towards this specific program?
I think that would be a fine thing, but like with the way that our government is set up, there's no way for people to really have an influence on where their tax dollars are going.
Right.
Because we can only elect representatives, and hell, most of the representatives that we elect these days campaign on one thing, and then when they're elected, they do something completely else.
Yeah, the good old flippy flop.
Yeah. They serve their own interests instead of the people's interests.
I have a theory, and then we're going to get off of politics because I don't like talking to my friend Ethan Rupert too much about politics because we should be talking about joyous things. But this is a podcast about hopefully trying to solve problems.
Yeah.
I'm a believer that there should be no taxation. And I believe that if you have no taxation, then everybody will wake up every morning not fearing that their house is going to be taken because they couldn't pay their property taxes, or they're not going to feel like they're being robbed from an entity, as you just said, that has absolutely no accountability for how they spend the money and stuff like this. And I think that if we created a world where people actually kept everything that they produced, there would be this outswelling of generosity and charity towards things. So like this person would say like, I really hate the fact that homeless people exist. You know, I'm going to like say, hey, government, you know, do this. And so basically you wipe the whole government board clean, say stop, like stop, just stop. Don't pass that law. We're wiping it all clean. And then we're just going to like create a whole tax system where there's like this problem, this problem, this problem. And this person can say, allocate my money to that problem. Do you think that would ever happen?
I don't think it ever would happen, but I don't dislike the idea.
It's almost like voting with money.
Yeah.
You see,
Or even like relying more on community to like solve issues.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. I mean, I think human beings are good, and I think if human beings didn't feel like they were always being robbed, they would want to better their community.
I think so too. And if our time wasn't like so caught up in just doing everything that we can to survive, and like I mean, like I live paycheck to paycheck. I don't have
Struggle.
like, yeah, I can't just fuck off and try to like fix all of these issues that I see in the world. It's like you're left with no time or resources to really address the issues.
It's exhausting.
It is exhausting.
And we reach a point, and this is actually kind of a really cool thing to get off of the politics too, but and this was on my video note to talk to you about artistic apathy. There comes a point where that exhaustion becomes so exhausting that I find a lot of artists just become so apathetic about actually even talking about it anymore or engaging in things. And it was kind of what I was noticing from you towards the end. It's kind of like, well, what do you do? Or, well, that's never going to happen. Or those sort of things. And like, and I'm not saying that's bad of you to say that because it's true. But I hate that we're like that. Like, I hate that we're in that cave now where we got our back against the wall and the tigers are outside.
It's hard to see a way out of it.
Right. hence the podcast, because
Yeah.
I'm really tired of it, man. Like, I'm a good guy, like you're a good guy.
Yeah.
I would no sooner cross a room and just fuck somebody over for a nickel than I would throw my kid into a fucking bonfire.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't like bad people. And I don't like bad people because I used to be a real bad fucking guy. And so I know how hard it is and the work that goes into actually needing to sort of put your flag on the side of decency. And I would just like a return to like get rid of Christianity and Islam, not get rid of it, but just like stop talking about like the moral code of Christianity or Islam or Judaism, or stop getting away from philosophy and whether or not you're a Nietzschean or a fucking Plato, what, like just decency.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that made me sound like a dreamer. That made me sound like a hippie, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sound like Lennon.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
John Lennon.
John Lennon.
Not the other Lennon.
Well, that didn't end too well for him.
No, I didn't.
No.
But he was a dreamer.
Because I'm a smoker? No. All right, cool. Well, what's something, we kind of touched on everything I wanted, and I kind of, understood that there wasn't going to be much forward motion because you and I, like, already know the solution, and the solution is, like, be chill. Be cool, be creative, don't fuck somebody over.
Yeah.
And that's a really lonely place to be.
It is, and not everybody's going to follow that.
Well, I mean, shit, yeah. You get rid of all guns, there's going to be like one guy with a gun going, oh, wait, I can take everything.
Yeah.
So what is exciting to you in the world now? Like, what is something that, like, you woke up one day and you said, holy shit, this is happening? Or, because I've also noticed that apathy is including, like, is there anything sadder than watching your creative community diminish? Post-COVID?
No, there's nothing sadder.
Yeah.
It's trying times for the artists of the world.
Yeah, but the artists have always had that interesting arc, right? This
Yeah.
explosion of here I am. Look at my point.
Uh-huh.
I'm tired and hungry. Wars are still going on.
Yeah.
Overdose.
Yeah. Well, that just means we're gonna ramp back up again.
So we're little dolphins.
Yeah.
Little artistic.
Well, anytime that there is like severe pressure around the world, like you always have this resurgence of the arts that rises up to combat it, or to at least like make people privy to it.
But how effective is it?
Who's to say? I mean, we've had all of these like brilliant like aha moments before where it feels like we're getting somewhere, and now we're right back to where we started. It feels like the cycle is
wow, that's a vicious
over again.
Vicious fucking cycle. Like, out of all of the cycles that our toxic species has, I hate the one where it's kind of like, wait, here's this wonderful, open, enlightened movement of greatness. Okay, so let's get off of heady topics. How's Mr. Shetler doing?
Oh, he's fantastic.
Like, I miss that dude.
Yeah, he's just a fantastic person.
Yeah.
I played with him in Dino Launch Committee back in the day. That was like when I first met him, and I'm blessed to have him in Sunnyside now.
Yeah.
It's
just such an unflappable and unchanging personality.
Yeah, he's just always so very much himself, and that's the only way he knows how to be.
Now, does he still have the place on the water? Didn't he get a house on a lake somewhere?
Yeah, he's
That's
got a
awesome.
lake house. Yeah,
That's awesome.
He's been fixing that place up, putting a lot of work into it.
So what's exciting to you now? Like, even if it's just like a new band you heard or something, like give me a positive, like, Ethan Rupert smile.
Oh God, big positive in today's age is not the easiest thing in the world. I mean, music, I would say, is still what keeps me going, and I'm still excited to hear new bands.
I love
around.
Rupert because I went outside to smoke before the podcast, and he pulled up, and there was music playing on his car.
Oh, for sure.
And I thought, like, there's this echoing absence in traffic now. Like, I maybe hear one car playing music.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, 10 years ago, it was like a fucking symphony.
Yeah. If you get confused, just listen to the music play.
Yeah. For me, it's Radiohead. Like,
Radiohead.
Like, whenever I just feel completely overwhelmed with life or something, and I don't even have to know what Tom's singing. Like, just his navigation through the sonic,
It's so
world.
artsy.
Yeah. Well, what else, man? I'll tell you what. This is the first time I've ever done this on the podcast. But you have anything that you want to talk about? Like, is there anything on your mind? Serious or not serious?
Honestly, like I've just been obsessed with like fish lately. Because to me, like when everything looks awful in the world, you have Trey Anastasio as this beaming being of light who's just trying to spread positivity.
Yeah.
And it is refreshing to see that there's still positive people out there trying to spread joy in a time when there just seems to be so little of that.
Awesome. Well, I typically do longer podcasts, but I wasn't going to go as intense with you on some of the other like issues because I don't want to go there with you. It's like you're one of those people that I actually kind of and forgive me for this because this is
Sure.
this is going to sound absolutely stupid.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, no. We're going to do this officially. I have rarely said this about anybody, but I actually consider you to be perfect.
That's just not true.
Stop. Hear it from me. You know,
Okay.
it's kind of like when somebody said, like, but I look into your eyes, okay, and I'm not talking about your behaviors, your actions in the past, but like you have never once done or said something to me that I felt affected me negatively or made me think any lesser of you. And that's my definition of perfection. I'm not saying like you're David Hasselhoff on fucking Speed or something.
Yeah.
And so when I talk about a perfect person, that's what I mean. That you don't contagionize or you don't like infect by anything that I've ever seen you do. So I just wanted to say that to
thank
you.
you.
Because I say that about very few people. And I don't even think you're funny.
Oh, I'm
Right?
not. I'm not funny.
But you're almost kind of like a perfect human being because you go through the world and you do all this and you're not trying to like conquer Europe, but you're also not trying to be something that you're not. So that's my statement on Ethan Rupert.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need to be a politician. There are all these people like who want to change the world in big ways, and
Yeah.
maybe I'm not the best qualified person to do that. So
Well, maybe you are. Maybe the qualifications are the problem.
yeah,
You know.
I always try to like keep an open mind about things and be willing to admit when I'm wrong because that's something that just happens.
Okay, last question for you, and then we'll wrap up the podcast. I think I told you that the overarching theme of this podcast is post AI. How do you see art, and how do you see the artistic spirit when people don't have to wake up every day and go to work? When people have all of their necessities and their luxuries taken care of, you push a button and you can have a boat,
Yeah.
right? Because we're leading ourselves there. Like pretty soon we're going to be in this future where the replicator exists, right? Hey, I want a meatloaf, bloop.
Yeah.
And like, how do you think that is going to actually harm the artistic spark, or do you think it's going to benefit? And I'm not talking AI. Oh, I pushed a button and I have a music video.
Yeah.
I'm talking how is being free of the constraints of pressure that we just talked about all podcast, is that going to damage art?
I would say yeah. I don't think that art would really. I don't think that we would need art at that point.
Because it's like a medicine, yeah?
Yeah, and art always comes from like struggle.
Yeah.
And so if you eliminate struggle, you're not really gonna have art, at least not meaningful
Oh my
art.
God, it's going to be Bob Ross.
It's gonna be Bob Ross.
Pretty
Everything will be
trees,
Bob Ross.
Pretty trees, pretty trees. Now, does that make you sad? Because we're talking about the abolition and the elimination of all human suffering. But look at what we do every day. Like it's our jam. It's our thing.
Well, I don't think it's ever gonna go away because I don't think that human suffering is going to go away. I mean, if we just look at things today, there's all this money in the world that could easily solve like global hunger, global housing, yet it's not going to happen. It's not happening.
So this is a beautiful moment for me, and this is why I love this podcast and the people that I've chosen to have on it. And then we're gonna stop and say, hey, fun time, right?
Yeah.
What I just heard from you was beautiful. If we live in a place where all suffering is removed, right, there's still going to be suffering. If we get rid of war, famine, needing to work and grind, and we can all just wake up in the morning and go, I'm going to go to the park and play Frisbee because I'm a human being and I've reached this exalted status of evolution where now we all have this freedom. There's still going to be suffering because somebody's still going to die from cancer. or somebody's going to fall out of a tree and break their neck, or all that. And it's almost like the removal of the fuckery suffering, the solvable suffering.
Yeah.
And then we're actually going to say, like, oh my God, your cousin's sick. There's going to be so much more humanity there, you know? And then maybe the song that guy writes is going to be the greatest fucking song humanity's ever done, because it's not awash in Bob Dylan-y, hippy-dippy, boy rocky, heavy metal-y, angsty, bullshitty, I'm going to make my point.
Yep.
Like, please tell me that you think that could happen, because that to me is gorgeous.
I mean, it totally could happen.
No, tell me it's going to happen.
I can't tell you that it's going to happen. Nothing is guaranteed.
Okay.
I mean, we shape the direction that we're headed in every day.
Yeah. It's almost like prehistory, right? We'd be around the campfire again, and we'd be saying, boy, last night was really cold, but we ganged together.
Yeah.
You know, the suffering that is overcomable, not the suffering of like, well, it's $1 billion corporation that's feeding us shit, but what can you do, sort of a mentality. I hope so.
Yeah.
Man.
I would hope so too. I know how humanity is.
Oh no, we're self-destructive.
We're so self-destructive. We just love it.
Oh, we're so spoiled.
Uh-huh.
Like the universe gave us opposable thumbs and the answer to everything, and we're just gonna fucking blow it up.
Yeah, we just like drama.
No,
we want
Ethan!
drama.
That's not why you're here. You're supposed to not be as cynical as me.
Yeah, well,
Fuck.
what can you do?
All right, Mr. Rupert. Thanks for coming
Pleasure
on
to
the
see you.
podcast. I hope it was an enjoyable conversation.
It absolutely was and always is.
We're gonna have fun in August.
Oh, I'm excited for it.